In a quiet neighborhood just outside of Boston, Emily Johnson sat in her cozy home studio, working hard on a graphic design project. She was focused, her eyes glued to the screen, her fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. Emily was single, and she had never felt the need to get married. Instead, she put all her love and energy into her creative work, which made her feel proud and fulfilled. That afternoon, the soft autumn sunlight poured through the big window beside her desk, making her long chestnut brown hair glow in the golden light. Her home was peaceful, filled with art and plants, and it reflected her calm and independent life. Emily's younger sister, Jessica, lived about a 30-minute drive away in a fancy suburban neighborhood. Jessica had married a man named Brian, and they had an 8-year-old daughter named Sophia. Since getting married, Jessica had stopped working and focused on being a full-time mom. From the outside, everything looked perfect. She had a clean, well-decorated house, a beautiful garden with neatly trimmed flowers, and she always seemed to wear a smile when people saw her with her daughter. But underneath that smile, Jessica carried a lot of hidden emotions. Their parents, Robert and Margaret, were retired but still full of energy. They enjoyed traveling, gardening, and staying busy. They loved both their daughters very much, but they often talked more proudly about Jessica. She was the one who had followed the traditional path: marriage, a child, a home, and to them, that made her the successful daughter. To outsiders, Emily and Jessica seemed like they got along well. At family events, they would laugh, talk, and share stories about their lives. But deep down, Jessica often felt jealous of her sister. Emily had a life full of freedom. She could work on her own terms, enjoy her hobbies, and make her own choices without being tied down by kids or housework. That freedom made Jessica uncomfortable sometimes. Even though she never said it out loud, she wondered what it would be like to live the way Emily did, even just for a little while. Sophia, Jessica's daughter, was a very smart and observant child for her age. She had big, curious eyes that were always watching everything around her. She listened to adults when they spoke, even when they thought she wasn't paying attention. Sophia could sense her mother's mood shifts, the moments when Jessica seemed worried or upset, even if she tried to hide it behind a smile. Sophia loved spending time with her Aunt Emily. Emily treated her with respect, not like a little kid who didn't know anything. She listened carefully when Sophia talked and always took her thoughts seriously. Their bond was special, full of warmth and laughter. One Friday evening, as Emily was finishing up some last-minute edits for a client, her phone suddenly rang. It was Jessica. "Hey Emily, hope you had a good day. I know this is last minute, but could you take care of Sophia starting tomorrow morning?" Jessica's voice was a little higher than usual and sounded rushed. Emily paused her work and sat up straight. "Sure, but is everything okay? Is something wrong?" Jessica sighed. "Brian's mom suddenly got sick, and I need to be at the hospital with her. It's kind of an emergency. Could you watch Sophia from Saturday morning until Sunday evening?" Emily was surprised. The last she heard, Brian's mom was perfectly healthy and had just gone golfing the other week. But if there was a family emergency, she wasn't going to question it. "Of course," Emily said. "I'd love to have Sophia over. What time will you bring her?" "Thank you so much," Jessica said, sounding relieved. "I'll drop her off around 8 in the morning. I think she'll be really happy to spend the weekend with you." After they hung up, Emily sat quietly for a moment. Something about the phone call didn't sit right with her. Jessica's voice had a strange edge to it, like she was hiding something or not telling the full truth. Still, Emily pushed the uneasy feeling aside. She focused instead on the thought of having Sophia over for the weekend. They could bake cookies, go to the park, maybe even do some painting together. Little did Emily know, this weekend would turn out to be more important, and more revealing, than she expected. When her father wasn't around, Brian's hands clenched into fists as he tried to control his anger. "Jessica," said Detective Sergeant Harris calmly, kneeling down to speak to young Sophia, "can you tell me again, did your mom really call your aunt?" Sophia nodded quickly. "Yes, on Friday night. I was sitting on the stairs and I heard her. Mama said to Aunt Emily, 'Please take care of Sophia.'" The detective slowly stood up and turned his serious eyes toward Jessica. Her face had gone pale, and her hands were shaking. "Mrs. Miller," he said, "are you still saying you never called your sister?" Jessica opened her mouth to answer, but no sound came out. The room was silent, filled with tension. Sophia stood behind Emily, holding her tightly, watching the adults with wide, nervous eyes. "Sophia," The detective asked gently, "Do you remember exactly what your mom said during the call?" Sophia nodded again, this time slower. "Mama said, 'It's an emergency, please.' Then she said, 'Brian's mother got sick.'" Brian's face twisted in anger. "My mother? Sick? That's not true. I talked to her on the phone on Saturday, she was making plans to play golf." Jessica's eyes widened, and she quickly tried to come up with a reason. I was worried. I thought something was wrong, but later I realized it wasn't serious." Brian raised his voice. "Stop lying. Saturday night, you told me you were going to your parents' house, but when I called them, they said you never showed up." Jessica's parents, Robert and Margaret, were shocked. Margaret looked at her daughter with teary eyes. "Jessica," she whispered, "you told us you were coming to visit. Why did you lie to us?" Jessica didn't respond. Her face was pale, and her lies were falling apart, one by one. Then Sophia spoke again. "Mama, you said you were going to a hotel with Uncle Mark. You said it was a special weekend." "Stop, Sophia," Jessica said quickly, her voice shaking, but Officer Davis stepped forward and said firmly, "Let the child speak." Tears filled Sophia's eyes as she continued. "Mama's been talking to Uncle Mark all the time lately. When Papa goes to work, Uncle Mark comes over. Mama told me to keep it a secret, but Aunt Emily says lying is bad." Brian's anger exploded. He slammed his fist against the wall. Mark Davidson, the guy down the street who just got divorced?" Jessica said nothing, she just stared at the floor. Detective Sergeant Harris started piecing everything together out loud. "Mrs. Miller, you left your daughter with your sister so you could spend the weekend with the man you were having an affair with. You told your husband and your parents you were going to your mother's house to care for her, but that was a lie. When your husband found out, you panicked." Emily, her voice shaking with anger, added, "So you told the police I kidnapped Sophia? You made me look like a criminal to cover up your affair?" Detective Harris looked straight at Jessica. "You faked emails and used AI to create recordings that sounded like your sister. You even convinced your neighbor to lie." The neighbor, Mrs. Parker, quickly jumped in. "Jessica gave me $500 to say a few things. I didn't think it was a real kidnapping." Emily's parents were crushed. Margaret cried as she approached Emily. "I'm so sorry, Emily. We should have trusted you." Robert bowed his head. "We failed you. Please forgive us." Emily's voice was calm but full of hurt. "You've known me for 35 years. Did you really believe I could do something like this?" Brian turned to Jessica, his face filled with pain. "Why, Jessica, why would you do this? You hurt everyone. You destroyed our marriage. You tried to destroy your own sister." Jessica finally fell to her knees, crying uncontrollably. "I'm sorry, I couldn't take it anymore. I was jealous of Emily. Her life looked so free. When I was with Mark, I felt young again." Brian shouted, "So you ruined someone else's life to protect your lie?" Jessica looked at Emily. "I didn't mean to go that far, but when Brian started asking questions, I panicked. I thought if I blamed you, I could escape it." Emily's voice was cold. "You sacrificed me for your own lie." Then, in a small voice, Sophia asked, "Mama, why did you lie? I loved you so much." Those words cut deeper than anything. Jessica broke down even more. Detective Harris stood up. "Jessica Miller, you are under arrest for false police reporting, perjury, and defamation." The handcuffs clicked into place. As Jessica was led away, she looked back at Sophia. "Please forgive me, sweetie." But Sophia didn't look at her. She buried her face in Emily's arms. Brian walked to Emily. "I'm so sorry. I said such awful things." Emily sighed. "You were lied to too, but it still hurts that no one believed me, not even my family." Officer Davis turned to Emily. "Miss Johnson, all charges are dropped. We apologize for what you went through." But the pain Emily felt was still deep, being wrongly accused, losing the trust of her family, and seeing Sophia caught in the middle of it all left scars. Sophia looked up at Emily. "Aunt Emily, what will happen to me now?" Emily hugged her. "You'll be okay. We'll figure this out together." 3 months later, Jessica was sentenced in court. Because she showed remorse and it was her first crime, she got probation instead of jail, but she lost her rights as a parent. Family court had to decide who would care for Sophia. Brian wanted full custody, but his job kept him away too much. Emily offered to take care of Sophia. The court praised her stable life and the deep bond she had with her niece. When asked who she wanted to live with, Sophia answered without hesitation, I want to stay with Aunt Emily. Emily became Sophia's legal guardian. She moved into a bigger house so Sophia could have her own room and a safe home. Since Emily worked from home as a graphic designer, she could support Sophia every day. Fixing her relationship with her parents took longer. Robert and Margaret apologized many times, but Emily was slow to forgive. I was your daughter for 35 years, she said one day, but when I needed you most, you didn't believe me. Margaret cried and said, we were wrong, please give us another chance. Over time, they slowly rebuilt their bond. Sophia's love for her grandparents helped bring everyone closer again. 1 year later, Emily hosted Thanksgiving at her new home. Around the table sat Sophia, Emily, Robert, Margaret, and Brian with his new girlfriend. It was a strange mix, but it felt warm. After dinner, Sophia said, Aunt Emily, I'm really happy now. Family isn't just blood, right? Emily smiled and hugged her. That's right, Sophia. Real family means loving each other, being honest, and always being there for one another. During her probation, Jessica worked at a small cafe and received counseling. She wasn't allowed to visit Sophia yet, but she sent letters every month. 2 years later, on Sophia's 10th birthday, she finally agreed to meet her mother again. Jessica cried as she apologized. I did terrible things. I hurt you. I hurt Aunt Emily. I tore our family apart. Sophia looked at her and said, Mama, I've already forgiven you, but my home is with Aunt Emily. Jessica's heart broke, but she also felt proud. Her daughter had become strong and wise. Today, Emily and Sophia live a happy life. Sophia is doing great in school and loves drawing in Emily's studio. They are like mother and daughter now, proof that family is built on love, not just blood. They both learned a powerful truth. Real family is about love, trust, and honesty.